The playoffs become a little bit more clear after this weekend's games. We're going to take a look at that playoff picture and where the Packers currently sit. Also, the Packers get unexpectedly linked to a Pro Bowl corner. We're going to break down all of that and more in this video. So if you haven't subscribed, take a second to hit that subscribe button. Let's jump into this weekend's games. You have the Minnesota Vikings and the Atlanta Falcons battling it out. You have the Atlanta Falcons with a must-win situation. I actually thought the Falcons were going to win this contest because of all the rumors there of them potentially benching Kirk Cousins. I thought the team would rally around him. They don't. They get absolutely annihilated, 42-21. Cousins throws for 2 picks, no touchdowns. The Vikings put up 433 yards of total offense. And who would have thought the Vikings, looking at this team at the beginning of the season and what the expectations were, nobody would have pegged them to be at 11-2 at this point in the season, just behind the Detroit Lions for the NFC North. But the Minnesota Vikings keep answering the call. Other game that directly or indirectly affects the Packers was the Seattle-Arizona game. Arizona found themselves in a must-win situation. Seattle, hey, if they keep winning, they're in control of their own destiny, and that's where they find themselves this week against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers go on the road to Seattle. Both teams hungry for a win. The Seahawks are playing really good football right now. I think the Packers are playing really good football right now. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back after that devastating loss to the Detroit Lions. But the Seahawks win this one in convincing fashion, 30-18. They get 2 takeaways in this game, a game in which they did it without their starting running back, Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker was out, which means their backup ran all over the Arizona Cardinals. They had 134 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. He also did it in the receiving game, 7 receptions for 59 yards. Not great news for the Packers because this is an athletically gifted backfield in Seattle there. So it'll be interesting to see how the Packers answer the call, what changes they make, what adjustments they make defensively. Let's take a look at the playoff picture as it sits right now in the NFC. You've got the Detroit Lions on top of the NFC at 12-1. Right behind them are the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not sure if anybody watched that game this weekend against the Carolina Panthers, but the Eagles found themselves barely winning that game. And it seems that the team found themselves, I saw a lot of fighting, quarreling going on the sidelines. So not good what's happening there in Philadelphia, even though the record is 11-2. Kind of reminiscent of what we saw last year with this team and how they started to kind of unravel within the organization. Seattle right now currently sits at the number 3 position, which means if the playoffs were to start right now, the Packers would be going on the road, playing Seattle in a tough environment. Nobody wants to go to Seattle and play in that environment. The Packers would find themselves looking at a preview of what's going to come in the first round of the playoffs as it sits right now. The Packers 9-4 would go on the road and play Seattle, who's on top of their division right now at an 8-5 record. So who are the Packers being linked to right now? Former Pro Bowl player Patrick Peterson. And it says right here, the Packers looking into adding 8-time Pro Bowl corner Patrick Peterson, who played all of last season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He did play and help them out in the playoffs against the Buffalo Bills in the first round. They lose the first round to the Bills last season. He was dropped at the beginning of the season. The Pittsburgh Steelers found themselves saving some cap space by cutting Peterson, but he's not on a team right now. And I love what this says right here. It says joining a hungry Packer team with only a month left in the season could be the boost that Peterson needs to play like he's 25 years old again. And it may be just what the Packers need to gain a mental edge over the Lions and the Vikings. I couldn't agree more with the Packers. It's not going to hurt them working Peterson out to see what he's got left in the tank. He is 34 years old. And why are we even mentioning that right now? Well, the Packers find themselves without Javon Bullard. So leave your comments and let me know. So with Javon Bullard out, that means the Packers would have Kalen King potentially coming up playing the slot corner, or they're going to be moving Keyshawn Nixon to the slot corner, and there's going to be a cornerback by committee there between Valentine and Eric Stokes. So leave your comments. What would you prefer? I would personally prefer to see Kalen King get moved up and be put at the slot corner and keep Keyshawn Nixon out there at the corner. That is assuming, of course, that cornerback Jair Alexander will be back. So let's take a look at the Packers injuries currently where it stands. The good news for the Packers is going forward, what could the Packers expect? Okay, so Romeo Dobbs probably will be back this week against the Seahawks. Edgerrin Cooper probably will be back this week against the Seahawks. Corey Ballantyne, I'm not sure there. I really don't care. I don't think he's that big of an impact player. Jair Alexander, of course, is an impact player, and we probably will be seeing him out there this week. Javon Bullard, that's the biggest question. Nobody quite knows. They saw him in crutches, but nobody knows what the extent of his injury is. There was an MRI done, but I don't think anything's been shared. Leave your comments. Let me know if you know something that I don't know. Evan Williams, he's on the concussion protocol. Hopefully, with this mini bye week, he will be ready to go against Seattle. His he's so important to this backfield for Green Bay. You partner him with Xavier McKinney out there. That's two of the best safeties I feel in the game. You got Marshawn Lloyd. So when we start talking about who's been on the IR for the Packers, you've got Jordan Morgan. He could be back very soon. He's missed the last 4 weeks on IR. Why is that important? Well, the Packers, Sean Ryan went down against the Lions, and then he came back into the game. But when he did that, that left room for Kadeem Tolfert to move in. I thought Tolfert fit the bill pretty well. I thought he looked pretty good. Of course, this was against the backups there in Detroit, but I thought he fit the bill pretty good. I was pretty impressed with what Kadeem Tolfert could do, but I think Jordan Morgan, long-term wise, is going to be much more of an impactful offensive lineman. And then also Luke Musgrave. Of course, he suffered that ankle injury back in week 4, and he has been out ever since. So the Packers hopefully getting back him sometime soon. Why is that important? Because Tucker Kraft has been playing out of his mind. This just adds an offensive weapon as the Packers get close to the playoffs. It certainly is not going to hurt them, especially adding somebody in the backfield like Marshawn Lloyd. Yes, he has been battling preseason injuries that he suffered an ankle injury in week 2, and then he had the hamstring injuries, and then he was supposed to come back after the bye week after missing 7 games, but he ended up with appendicitis, and that landed him on the non-football illness list. But look for him to hopefully return as well to give Josh Jacobs a little bit of reprieve. But leave your comments and let me know, who would you prefer to see at the corner slot position? Do you want, with Javon Bullard most likely out for a couple of weeks, do you want Kalen King getting bumped up to that position, or do you want the Packers to move Keyshawn Nixon back to that corner slot? Leave your comments, and as always, go Pack Go.